Let me first say that health innovation, actually it has been a great success story in Europe. But I believe now we are at a crossroads.
Velkommen til HealthTalks podcast om legemidler og legemiddelpolitikk. Mitt navn Hans Andersen, og jeg redaktør i HealthTalk. I dag har jeg med meg Ehab Youssef. Han Roche sin sjef for alle landene i Nord-Europa. Ehab Youssef, thank you for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's jump right into it. Let's start with your current position in Roche. What led you to this position, and what are some of the most important lessons that you have learned throughout your career in Roche?
Thank you, Hans, for the question. I've been with Roche almost for 12 years now. Before that, a long time in other organizations. I've been in the industry for more than 30 years. I'm looking after an area of 12 countries in Europe. I'm based in Basel for Roche. We work fully inspired to really help and find ways to support system, support patients, full understanding about the current pressure in the system, and trying to find really solutions here to provide access to patient to innovation. We work in an industry with full cooperation as well, trying to help and being part of the solution. Sometimes people perceive as part of the problem due to the cost burden, but we try to do our best to be part of the solution. And this is what inspires us every day.
Yeah, we'll talk more about this later. Yeah. But what new healthcare innovations are Roche currently working on? Can you give us some ideas about that?
Roche is a leader in different diversified disease areas. And certainly oncology used to be a hub for us for long. A flow of innovation in oncology, meeting many unmet needs in the marketplace. We actually diversify to other therapeutic areas with many unmet needs. It's ophthalmology, it's related to neuroscience, many products related to the neuroscience area. It's hematology is a big area that we are working in. Roche always after unmet needs, a real innovation, and trying really to provide help and support to make desperate patients that really seek for help and support accessing innovation that really help. So this is what is Roche really about. It's really all about innovation and positioning innovation as part of the solution.
So Roche is a European pharmaceutical company. Is global, of course. Yeah. It's based in Basel, as you said. That's where the headquarters are.
The headquarters in Basel. It's one of the mega big biotech organization that really work to drive innovation. We have multiple presence everywhere globally. And our headquarters in Basel. And certainly Europe is one of those areas that...
So Switzerland is a small country. It's 5 million people, approximately the same as Norway. Yeah. Have two of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies, Novartis and Roche, of course. True. So in Norway, we will try to build a healthcare industry. So can you give us an idea of why does Switzerland have two big pharmaceutical companies? That is one of the 3 largest companies in the world, actually, in the pharmaceutical business.
That's very true, and I believe it's back to what's your priority as a country, as innovation. How you perceive innovation, how you value innovation as not a cost rather than a part of a solution and help and support. And I think the more you prioritize innovation as real value creation, I think that help to drive the whole process and the environment and the attractiveness of the environment to get innovation in place. And it all related to hear about the mindset, the process and the governance and that help you to make that attraction real.
Right.
And so that I believe part of it, and commitment also to that on a short and long term basis. Yeah.
We have to talk about the EU regulations. A couple of weeks ago, EU sweeping proposal to regulate new drugs in Europe were proposed. It's a new law. It will probably take a couple of years before it's implemented. But the pharmaceutical industry is vigorously fighting it. Why is that?
Let me first say that health innovation, actually it has been a great success story in Europe. But I believe now we are at a crossroads. And just looking today for the EU revision for the pharma legislation, we believe this is a once in generation opportunity really to shape the healthcare industry, the way it fits patient needs, the way also it builds the right attraction to Europe as an area and hub of innovation and the right investment about innovation in Europe. So this is something that certainly we would like really to bring to the attention. It's an opportunity. It's a real opportunity to bring that to perspective. We are fully aligned with the EU interest to first address those unmedical needs. This is something that we fully acknowledge and we fully support. Also, we are fully understanding and supporting addressing those variances of reaching innovation to different countries within the EU members. That's something that we fully hear and we fully also support. And we strongly believe in Roche that you build innovation, this innovation has no value if it doesn't reach patients.
Exactly. Yeah. Because the EU wants to improve access to
drugs. So I think conceptually we are fully aligned with what EU would like to achieve here. Building on at least about the initial assessment about the proposal of the EU proposal, we are deeply concerned. We are deeply concerned about the proposal, how if it really does help to bring innovation to patients timely or not. It really helped to make Europe an area to attract innovation or not. So that's something that I'd like to make it clear here, that we are very concerned that will not help. Let's being more clear here about what's our specific concern about building on, again, our initial assessment from what we have received. Trying here to link and penalize industry and companies of cutting or removing part of the intellectual property years in order and linking that to making every innovation available in 2 years after the EMA approval and after regulatory approval, this will really not help and make the objective that the EU is looking for happen.
Yeah, because the EU, they suggest that the protection companies like Roche gets from generic drugs will be reduced from 10 years to 8 years. So that's a critical issue in your opinion?
It's a first penalizing companies of making the innovation accessible in 2 years. It is not within the industry and companies' control. We are ready to commit and to ensure the industry commitment to apply for pricing and apply for reimbursement within 2 years of the regulatory approval. But it is not the industry decision here. It is a regulatory decision here about approving that. And it's back again. It's a growing competitive landscape globally. And there is an investment on R&D will be placed by all or another, but it's all around where you put that investment in place, building on how countries and how areas are appreciating that type of innovation as a part of and solution, and how you can find those type of approaches that really exactly achieve the outcome that they look for, but in a more pragmatic and more workable way.
The CEO of Novo Nordisk, Lars Fruergaard Jacobsen, he says that the initiative or the proposal is a poison to innovation and competitiveness in Europe. And GSK, they are saying that investments will be transferred to United States and Asia instead of Europe and innovations. Are you on the same level here?
Yeah. Let me tell you my view here. And generally, when I'm looking today, the healthcare system under pressure. This is a fact that in Europe, it's under pressure. It's a growing demand. It's a political unrest. It's an economical pressure. If I'm putting myself in the shoes of payer, I fully understand where are they coming from. And it's all around now that if there is no significant change happening in the legislation and the process, we will lose ground. We will lose ground more and more every day. Just looking to some interesting statistics here, Hans, that's alarming. It's like 20 years back, the investment in innovation in Europe, the gap between US and the gap between Europe used to be 2 billion euro in favor of US, 2 billion. So US was able to attract more investment in innovation with an amount of 2 billion euro.
Not that much.
This is 20 years back. Looking now, the gap is getting wider. It's a 25 billion euro gap between US and Europe. It sends a message here. Is the environment attracting innovation or not? Resulted in, if you looked from year 2014 and year 2018, the innovation, the number of medicines and innovation and treatment originated from US is more than 47% compared to 25% in Europe. It tells a message, it tells a story here about thinking really long term and bringing innovation and attracting innovation and making innovation. It's a way you manage.
Will you say that the focus for Roche is gradually shifting over to the United States and to Asia?
We are here actually to envision Europe that people stay healthy and live longer. We envision Europe that healthcare system is ready to meet future needs and challenges, where Europe is able to really deliver on data to take decisions and insight. This is the role that we try to play here, is really push back with all regulators and the EU in order to realize that challenges maybe differently and try to really build something that can help winning on a short term, but also provide a very good gain on a long term.
You said that the healthcare systems in all Western Europe world is under pressure. That's for the American system, which is mainly governmental finance, but also of course insurance finance, and also the welfare states in Europe. We experience here, at least in Norway, that it takes a very long time after a drug is approved in EMA in Europe. It takes a very long time before it is reimbursed. As being head of the Northern European countries, what is your perspective on that? How do you see that other countries like Sweden, Denmark, Poland, and Netherlands, how are they different from Norway?
It's a very good question, and it's not only related to Norway, it's also related to many other countries within EU. And we see a lot of differences here in the approaches they follow. And actually our intention here as Roche, and this is a position that we would like with many other players in the industry, is trying really to bring that maybe one step ahead of trying really to look for the full integrated cycle of taking decision, how decisions are taken here. We see different approaches here, but we strongly believe that there are two key enablers that should help different systems to take those type of decisions better and faster. It's all related to innovation, again, and how you value innovation as part of the solution, and data and insights. There is a wealth of data in the system. By the end of the day, every system, you get what you measure. And if you are not clear what are you measuring, that will not help. And what, in order really to manage that rightfully, you need to have those translate those wealth of real-world data about patient outcome, patient results, how patient experience the products, different type of data, and with a full interoperability between systems in Europe. There is a great initiative now going on, and there's another great opportunity, European health data space. Yeah. It's an approach from the EU, trying really to get all EU members agreeing on a framework, on a legislation, on a system able to reach and read each other to leverage the wealth of knowledge and data in the system. This should really help the different system within EU to get insights that guide them to take decision, which innovation can be in, which innovation could be out, what fair price for those, building on the outcome to patient. We are not there yet. We are quite far in many areas within EU members.
So you are suggesting a more reimbursement system where the government are paying for performance, so to speak, that they pay for the real world evidence, what the drugs really do for the patients.
Yeah. And that leveraging those type of data that help and support. And as Roche, we are, from a pricing perspective, we try to offer a lot of alternatives way, paying for performance, outcome-based approach, also building on the affordability of the different company from GDP perspective, trying to be flexible here, building on that. So there are many ways that we try here to use. But we, again, our request and our really invitation to different people who are under the responsibility of legislation, that data and leveraging the data and the interoperability between different systems in Europe, that for both clinical trials, for an outcome, for decision making, that will be a great enabler to provide that approach and make it more objective. Yeah.
The pharmaceutical industry, like Roche, you develop cutting-edge therapies that has an enormous promise for people with fatal disabilities, which where we see the pace is increasing for cell therapy, for gene therapy, etc., which it's extremely promising. At the same time, is also coming with a high price tag.
True.
So you have been discussing this.
It's our day-to-day discussion.
So how the bridge between what's possible to pay for and what is possible to develop. How should we bridge that gap?
I think there are two roles here: role on the regulators and role on us as well as an industry, considering that right. And I believe here it's having that regulatory framework that able to accommodate those type of new approaches in therapy, which not used to be the case earlier. So that's something that, and I believe EU are working well on that, building on what also initial assessment. There is a framework and that people are working on to accommodate these different approaches of a paradigm shift in the approach for the innovation. The other one is, again, we are discussing a lot about a pay for performance approach, a sharing, risk sharing approach, considering that we understand well that what does it mean from a cost-wise and how regulators are ready to accommodate that. So I believe it's ongoing discussion. We expect regulators also have that different understanding of a new treatment modalities and new approaches from both regulation pathway and also accepting new different models of pricing. And at the same time, in Roche, we discuss regularly what is the most really fair and win-win approach that can help the regulators to consider this with less impact and with more value. And again, I'll bring value concept here once more, how we treat value and how we measure value.
Can you give us a perspective of the pipeline of Roche? Going, what kind of drugs can we expect Roche to deliver in the next, say, 2 to 5 years?
It's actually in Roche, it's one of the most rich pipelines at different disease areas, and I think that's something that we personally, being in Roche for some time, the diversity in portfolio is really impressive. We used to work heavily in oncology. I'm still happy that there are many in the oncology field in place, but when I'm looking for ophthalmology today, there is a strong commitment in ophthalmology, and I think we are one of those few companies that have a very rich pipelines and commitment to ophthalmology. Neuroscience, we are quite a leader really in the neuroscience, looking for SMA, looking for
spinal muscular disease, dystrophy,
looking for MS, looking for. So there are multiple products that and multiple pipelines products that really focusing on many unmet needs for patients, which put for us responsibility and pride as well that we have able to contribute in some of the unmet needs. Fully understanding, again, the burden in the system. That's why we are extremely keen that the system is prepared for those level of different type of innovation, and ready to value and to measure the outcome of those products nicely. That applies for Roche and other pharma organizations.
That's putting Roche and the pharmaceutical in the hot chair, but you think that's the way going forward? Yeah. Ehab Youssef, it was great talking to you. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much, Hans, for having me, and it's a great pleasure, and looking forward to seeing you again.
Will do.
Thank you.